Welcome to Legal and Wealthy, the podcast for lawyers who are ready to stop playing small and start building true wealth and a career and life of their dreams, powerfully and purposefully. Whether you're a law student, new associate, or seasoned attorney, this show is for those who are ready to take charge of their law career in a new way. I'm your host, Lauren Klein, attorney, law firm owner, professor, and founder of Legal and Wealthy. Here, we don't just practice law, we practice liberation and becoming wealthy attorneys. Because being a great lawyer shouldn't come at the cost of your time, your peace, or your financial freedom. Every week, you'll get the strategy, mindset, and wealth building guidance that law school never gave you. So you can go from just surviving your career to building a legacy through it. Let's get to work. Welcome back to Legal and Wealthy, the podcast for lawyers and law students who are ready to take their wealth and their career and their life to the next level. I am so excited to be sitting here today with my new friend, Bill, the Lawman Umansky. I'm going to give a quick bio, but really we want to hear it from the Lawman himself. Bill has been operating a prominent personal injury and criminal law firm headquartered in Orlando, Florida, which is where I met one of his team members, for over 30 years. And after building up and continuing to build up an incredible law practice, has now also begun to coach lawyers. And this is, we were just talking before I started recording, it is so needed to have good coaches who actually have done the thing that they're coaching on, building up a successful and profitable law firm. So I can't wait to dive into that. Bill is also the author of the best-selling law practice book, Tiger Tactics, which I have not read yet, but we will be reading for our Money and Mindset book club that we have here at Legal and Wealthy. So really excited for that. And Bill is also the host of the Lawman's Lounge, engaging listeners with enlightening conversations on various aspects of the legal profession. So Bill, welcome to the show.
Hi, Lauren. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it very much.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. And I know the audience is going to be really, really, really interested to hear from you. So I have to know first, how did you get the nickname, the Lawman?
That's an easy one. I think it's real simple, actually. Imagine having a last name like Umansky. Imagine being filled with like self-loathing about your name for a long time until you hit 40s. I'm going to be 60 next year. So you're trying to figure out how to brand your name because you hate your name. And then, in law school, I was called You the Man. And in college, I was a club promoter. So some friends said You the Man. I was like, I don't know how to do anything with that. Like, You the Man, law firm is stupid. And obviously in the Me Too movement, that wouldn't have worked. But unfortunately, that was like 25 years ago. So You the Man, You the Man, You the Man, Umansky, Lawman, Lawman. And so I just became the moniker that I adopted. And I don't really use it in advertising or branding. It's on my website, but it's more of a colloquial name, so it's stuck. And now I like my name. I do like Umansky. It's a cool name, I think. Now I'm comfortable with it, but I'm stuck with the Lawman. So people either call me Lawman or Umansky, Bill, Billy, William, Will. It doesn't matter. But that's how I came to it. It was a little bit of self-loathing.
I can relate. I can relate because Klein is my married name and it's so easy. And sometimes people misspell it, but other than that, they know how to say it. But my maiden name was Smaless and no one could say it. No one could spell it. It was always, you're killing me Smalls or something like that. So I can totally relate.
Yeah. So
Totally.
but I love my name now. And I do, but the Lawman's stuck. And so that's where we're at with that. So
I love it. I love it. So take us through your journey. You've practiced now for over 30 years. You've done something that so few lawyers do, build up a successful practice that actually creates incredible revenue and helps a ton of clients. So walk us through how did you get started in PI and criminal law, and how did you always plan on kind of building this incredible firm, or what did the journey look like? We'd love to hear.
yeah. So how I got into criminal law was that basically I was thrown out of several schools when I was younger, and I really had problems with authority. Probably still do a little bit, and I think at the end of the day, I picked an area because this is going to sound silly, but I wanted to give back to my country, and I was pretty sure what I was capable of and not capable of. So, in a
Mm.
dream world, I would have applied for the Navy SEALs and been a badass. But if you knew me, like, yeah, I'm in shape, but I'm a horrible athlete. Like, I'm a 4 out of 10. I'm always picked like lowest level when I used to play ball. At least I got picked. I was never picked last. So I really was trying to figure out like what I wanted to do. And being a prosecutor seemed about as close to giving back. That was really why I got into it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I was also misguided. I enjoyed the work, and I don't regret the work I did, but basically got into it, loved it, became a domestic violence division chief, tried,
Mm.
it was about 100 cases in maybe close to 3 years. First chair,
Wow.
most of them, some second chair. Uh,
Wow.
but but also was a mistake because developed a big ego. Used to hang up. You were very young, but I used to hang up defense lawyers out of the phone book. Used to rip their heads off when I win trial, slap it up against the wall, and thought I was great, which no one else thought I was great. Everyone thought I was an asshole, but essentially I thought I was great. And when I realized like the place became very small for my ego, I wanted to move on. So I went and worked for a couple PI firms, a commercial firm, then worked for a lady that was the first double board certified lawyer in the nation. And that's when my ego met an ego. And I think that's
Mm.
probably the first time I started realizing great lawyer. She was a great trial lawyer, houses in Italy, been through several, let's say, marriages, unbelievably smart, unbelievably theatrical, probably one of the finest lawyers ever met. But at the same time, started questioning who I was because I was like, uh, that looks like a little bit like I could be, or maybe I am, and I don't want to be more of that. So while I really appreciated her and respected her, she let me go, which she had every right to. We had some trials together. I was kind of hard to deal with. And the story, it's a cool story because she picked up the phone to help me out with another PI firm in town, and I watched
Wow.
how she made a choice with some of her long-term employees she was letting go at the same time, where she chose her tennis lesson with Hans over dealing with her employee at that point. And uh, now this is just my opinion of how it was handled. In retrospect, 30 years later, 20 years later, I'm pretty sure that's what I saw and that's what I observed, but I was just like, F
Yeah.
this. So
Yeah.
I blew that up with her. Went to a law firm that's in town here today and very successful. They offered me a job, very very good salary with a package, and I said, look, I can't keep doing this because what I haven't told you is I jumped around for some other firms, and looking back, I had to be accountable. Like I just was not able to be controlled because of my ego. And I opened my own firm with a ex-state attorney friend of mine. We lasted about 2 or 3 years together. We're still dear friends today, but I realized I was putting in 70, 80 hours a week. He wasn't. I knew I was
Mm.
driving most of the business. He wasn't. I chose him because of he was smarter than I, more intellectual than I was, but really I chose him because of fear. So we had an amicable split, and it was definitely amicable. And then I've been running my firm probably since '99, I think. But overall, I don't want to bore your audience, but I would say to you, like, yes, I'm successful now, and I don't really live life with regrets because I'm able to travel a lot and do whatever the hell I want. But
Yeah.
uh, I didn't really learn much about business until putting down the ego and then starting to get business coaching individually. And had I done it when I was younger, I'd probably be a good candidate for your family corporation. But
Mm.
because I'm not, I'm still working and I still love working and I'll probably get there. And anyway, I never really look at long-term stuff. I just started looking about succession planning and everything else, Lauren,
Yeah.
but I don't think I'm going to be here in this earth very long. I've been saying that for a long time. So I'm just like carpe diem. And so I do
Yeah.
planning. My wife's
Yeah.
very, very attractive. And when I drop dead, she'll find a very, very, she's a lawyer. She's attractive. She's beautiful. Been married 30 years, but within 2 years, I guarantee you, we can hold a bet to this, even though we don't know each other very well. But I'll come down to Fort Lauderdale and we'll sign it where you'll owe someone that I hold dear, my family, money, because it will be 2 years to get remarried. So, in a nutshell, that's my journey. But it was coaching and dropping the ego that really started the process of figuring this shit out. So,
That's awesome. I love all the backstory and the realness, because I think in the law we so often try to just put this like perfect front up, and then so everyone else thinks, well, I'm going through all this shit, it must just be me, or I've had these experiences, it must just be me, and we all do. So I appreciate, the authenticity and sharing all of that, and then sharing the success and how you got there. I'm curious, was it dropping the ego first and then you found the coach, or was it coaching that really helped you to say, hey, this is not getting me to where I want to be or how I want to live my life? Like, what was the order of operation there?
yeah, it wasn't coaching. I think there's a lot of moments actually, but you get older, you forget stuff. I love coaching younger people of young parents because I don't remember the shit that my kids put me through, right? So that's a problem when you coach. Like you have to try to remember the bad stuff. But
Hmm.
when you're optimistic, you kind of start putting that stuff aside. So I would only, when I answer these questions, whenever I'm on podcasts, the answers are different because I feel like it's not just one moment. For many people, it could be one moment, like cancer, divorce, a death in the
Hmm.
family. But for me, it was never any of that. So one of the seminal moments I had was I picked up a book called E-Myth, which is the entrepreneurial myth. And
Hmm.
that long time ago was probably the start of my journey because I read the book and then I signed up
Yeah.
for the seminar to go to California. I think it was Santa Rosa, I don't remember. And I showed up. Everyone had done their homework, and I had paid 5, 10 grand for this thing. And I, of course, didn't do the homework because I don't need to do the homework. I'm just like, who are these people? I was looking for a
Yeah.
free, just a good time out in California, maybe. So the guy looked at me in front of these 30, 40 entrepreneurs and said, "You're not welcome." And I was just like, "What do you mean I'm not
Wow.
welcome?" Yeah, what? I just paid like everybody else. Of course I'm welcome. He said, "You didn't do the homework." I go, "Yeah, but I paid." He goes, "That doesn't matter. You're not going to get anything out of this." And I
Wow.
don't know, like normally when someone does that to me back in the day, I'm just like a fighter. So I just would have said something nasty or rude or sarcastic, but
Yeah.
I felt, I felt a heat, a flash, red warmth on my face. I felt embarrassed. Um, and I left and he told me, "You can come back tomorrow after you do the homework." And so that night I wrote out the vision of my law firm. I didn't have much money even though I paid for that seminar. So I remember having a credit card. I went to dinner, steak dinner, started writing my vision out on cocktail napkins. I got a limousine that night too, which is funny because if my wife reads my book, Tiger Tactics, which I'm pretty sure she did, she didn't know all this at the time, but I got a limo. I went to a club. I wrote the rest of my vision. I don't know if you know where Sausalito is,
Hmm.
but
Yep.
I partied and then had a limo and I wrote the rest of my stuff on cocktail napkins, the vision of my firm and I stayed up till 4 in the morning watching Sausalito's beautiful. I went back to Santa Rosa, wherever it was, and the next morning had the driver drop me off. And I was like, I wasn't drunk, I wasn't hungover, but I was really excited because I wrote the vision out. And I was like, I mean, literally went back the next day, had no ego, was there to listen, gave him the stuff on cocktail napkins, which was rude. He made me then gave me sheets of paper to write it all out, and I wrote it all out. That was my homework, and then I listened to the next day because I missed all of the first day. I didn't do any bonding with anyone, But that was the start. And I realized like I'm my worst enemy. I'm the one that gets in my way. I'm the reason why I got fired from so many jobs. I'm the reason. And like until I realized that, so that was probably the start of like I got to get help. And so I
Mm.
joined Strategic Coach and I joined some masterminds. John Fisher, who I still facilitate his masterminds all over. Actually, we do them all over the world now.
Wow.
And he's a dear friend of mine. But I started meeting with people and realizing I needed way more help than I could ever wish for. That vision I have is still pretty accurate about what I wanted, and it needs to be updated. I took it out several weeks ago to update it, and then I got busy, but I need to update it now going into my 60s.
That was going to be my next question. How much of it has actually come
It,
true?
it it's really really accurate. I wanted to work with
Yeah.
lawyers who are leaders. I wanted to work with real trial lawyers. A lot of firms after a while they say they try cases, they don't. I don't try
Mhm.
cases anymore. I haven't for a long time. I'm not a trial lawyer anymore. But I
Yeah.
we had like 3 trials several weeks ago in 1 week. So I got to work with athletes, people that were a lot of the people in my firm have been former athletes. That was all in my vision, like people that I
Wow.
work with, want to be with. And I didn't have a value system back then, but as I reread the vision, it was all about like teamwork, community service, positivity. And we have developed a value system because we moved on to what's called EOS, which is another business system, and developed a system called Power, positivity, ownership, works a team, evolutionary relentlessness. And that's something that we try to live by. So that
Wow.
kind of
Tell us
got
more about
morphed
that.
into
I've
all that.
I've never heard of that. I'd love to hear more. How does that work within the firm?
Yeah, so you can't unilaterally. You got to be of the right size where you have a leadership team, because you can't just unilaterally come up with the values. It's what your leadership team wants, but it should be your vision as the entrepreneur. And if you're able to have that vision, if you're good at what you do, you should be able to communicate that vision. So we sat with I went to a seminar 15 years ago, and of course I slowly started losing my ego, came back, spent hundreds of dollars on boards all around my office. Like lawyers do, we overcomplicate things. I was just on a board meeting with lawyers, and what takes 5 minutes takes 30, and we're all guilty of that. But it's like keep it simple, stupid. So I got rid of all those because I couldn't remember any of them. And we had an EOS meeting. We talked about values, and what came out of it is, we have definitions for these things. We don't necessarily teach the people in our office, but they do know what it is. Everyone can remember the word
Mhm.
power. So who do you want to work with? I'd rather work with someone who sees the glass half full, who's optimistic, who's there for people. Um, I want to take ownership and accountability. People fuck up, they make mistakes. If you as the owner can sit there and say, I made a mistake, I screwed up, I was wrong, you should have a little tolerance for other people that have a fear of failure where they can't admit mistakes and move on. And then
Yeah.
working as a team, that came out of me not being a team player. I was a trial lawyer first and wanted to win, just win everything. And so it wasn't about anyone else, it was about charisma. So when I put that ego down, I realized, look, that's a great way of winning, but not a great way of living your life. So working as a team, evolutionary is really important for us because it's about changing. Change is really important. Technology, you've got to change. I don't like change. I don't think a lot of people really like change, but my personality is a change agent. And so you have to change, you have to adapt, you have to modify, whether you like it or not, get out of your comfort zone. And then the last, which is the hardest one, which is being relentless. There's a book by Tim Grover. I just bought 20 copies of it. I read it a long time ago. But relentless is the one that is not the one that's easiest because it requires a personality to, don't tell me, I can't tell you what to do. And by the way, you have artificial intelligence, so figure the shit out yourself. But really, like, be relentless in trying to figure it out. Go to a mentor, find someone that can help you, that kind of thing. So you asked, that's why I just told you. I feel like I'm going on and on, but that is what we do. So we hire by that, we fire by that, we evaluate by that. As leaders, we try to hold ourselves out there like that. We sometimes mess up. And if you mess up, you pay the price because people look at you like you're a hypocrite, just like your children will look at you as a hypocrite. But for the most part, we do live those values, and it makes things a lot more simple. You can really define yourself with people that you want to work with, and even people that end up leaving you. You can choose vendors off of that. You can
Yeah.
choose your vendors that are doing your pay-per-click, social, all that based on those values. And the harder part is choosing clients because let's face it, we're in a field where there are branding people that tell me all the time, Bill, why don't you use that? You should. I'm like, what? I'm going to have positive sex offenders? I'm going to have a pilot gets busted for a DUI. He's going to be positive? No, he's not. He's going to be anxious. That's all bullshit. However,
Yeah.
you can treat people with positivity. You can own up when you make a mistake towards a client. You can get help from another lawyer if you feel deficient so you can give the best legal service to a client. You can use AI to adapt your case and make yourself a better lawyer for the client. And you certainly can be relentless by winning or doing everything in your power to get them what they want, if at all possible. And as you know, that's not always possible. A little bit easier in your realm where I'm not saying it's easier, but you have guidelines and tax structures and everything. We live in the world of complete risk, right? So we don't know
Yeah.
what's going to happen with a case going to trial or a result, but we can control the aspects up to that. So that does that make sense?
This episode of Legal and Wealthy is brought to you by Law Firm Sites. Law Firm Sites has been building custom websites and providing online marketing for law firms for over 23 years. They are good at what they do because that's all that they do. If you are looking to expand the reach of your firm or just improve your online presence, Law Firm Sites has the team to do it. Go to lawfirmsites.com or call 1-800-932-8242 and mention Legal and Wealthy to receive 10% off any of their website or marketing packages. It does. And I ask not only for the audience, but also selfishly because, I'm building a law firm with a law partner. We are very big on culture. We're very big on who are we, where are we going, how do we want to serve, how do we want to show up. It's one of the reasons, we left big companies to do this. So thank you. I love all of that. And I'm going to really look into that because I think it's important for us to implement that. And two things have really kind of stood out to me so far. And I'm really big on personal development and books like E-Myth. I read a long time ago, and it kind of just like it shifts something in your brain where you're looking at all the lawyers around you or others too, but in our world. And I'm like, wait, what are we doing? What are we doing here? How can we do this differently? So I'm such a big fan of coaching, and I love that you went to that seminar and it kind of shifted things so much for you. I really think that starting in law school, personal development and business, coaching development should be emphasized because it's just not. And I think it really holds a lot of lawyers back. And I'd be curious to hear now that you're coaching and you're leading, masterminds and things like that. I'm curious what are like the main things that you see? Let's say you meet a new coaching client or you have someone in the mastermind. What are the things that you see in people that you're like, I know you're going to be successful, or I know you're going to accomplish whatever it is you're setting out to accomplish? Is there like a character trait or traits that stand out to you when you meet coaching clients? I'm curious.
You know, it's funny. Sometimes we coach people who are attracted to us because they have this fantasy of what they think you're doing and what you're not doing. And so, when you ask that question, I just think about, uh, turning that around and because sometimes before to evaluate whether I see someone as successful or not, I think the important thing as a coach is to figure out the lie they're telling themselves.
Mm.
Uh, because I think we all lie to ourselves. And I think when we reflectively react and say, no, I don't, is when the biggest lie you tell yourself. So, as I would say to you that when I see someone break through the lies they tell themselves and that they understand what they really are truly about and what makes them um, happy, and what makes them want to go out and run a law firm. If they can get through that first, that's the first step. And then really it's the other things that are really, really important. It is your desire to learn, how much you're willing to learn, how much you're willing to not just delegate, but find the right who, and not just do it all yourself. Find the person that, or people or the systems that can help you accomplish what you can't accomplish yourself. And there's many more, but you're asking what I see, and it's typically also that unspoken thing about being relentless. And this is a tough thing because I suffer from this now as an entrepreneur, because I have people, I work by going out and getting business, but then I spend a lot of hours and there's a lot of stuff on my shoulders, but I've reached a point where other people are doing the work of the firm. And so I go through droughts, a period of time where there's a drought. So I struggle with this myself because I am a relentless person, but sometimes in a creative mind and being a tourist, I just want pleasure and I just want to chill and I just want to relax. Where the other side of that would be like, well, that's just laziness. But if you don't find that, and what I'm saying in other people is you've got to have that drive. And you have to have that drive where you know that every day, and this is so important, this is definitely something that I see in people that are successful. You wake up in the morning and go, something is going to happen today and I'm going to deal with it. And not only am I going to deal with it, that is my opportunity to lead. And I'm not bullshitting about this. Like, it is like someone's going to quit today, or someone is going to miss money, or someone is not going to file something, which I don't handle day to day anymore. But there's other things on a global level, like, hey, our local service ads went down. We lost 66 grand in a month. Where's the opportunity? Like, what am I going to do? And I think, I would say that a person that not only lives his life relentlessly, doesn't lie to themselves, is willing to be educated and finding others that will help them, all that's really a good measure of success. But just like these great athletes like Kobe Bryant and the rest of them, it's like you're continually not accepting yourself as you are. You're happy with your progress, for sure. You're not insecure about your progress. You're confident with your progress, but you also realize, like, there's something more out there. There's something more for me to develop. I need to get better. A lot of that's classified, I feel like, people in their 30s and 40s just by money. And it's so funny how people think because I dress nicely and I have nice things that I have a shitload of money. Like I told you, I'm not sure I can afford your family corporation yet. And the reality is mistakes that I made. But I think they think because I have reached a stage where I don't give a fuck. And I was at a judicial thing the other night with a bunch of judges, and I sometimes cursed in front of them in a nice way. I'm friendly with them. They all like me because they know that I'm 97% authentic, which is probably, I always hold 3% back from everybody. And the reality is, like, if you can get to that stage, and when you see people like that and they are continuing to want to learn, you definitely know that they're going to be successful. So I just think I ran around and around it, but it is clear in my mind, like, you got to be relentless. You got to stop telling yourself lies. You got to find other people that can help you get what you want. You always have to be in a learning mode where you're willing to learn and understand. That's why you learn a lot from older people, and you also learn a lot from younger people. And the one thing, I think, the ability to listen, which is one of the things that I have that's a weakness, because I tend to cut people off because I assume they're going to just give me the same old answer. And when I find that I don't do that, sometimes there's a nugget in that. And I think people that listen usually get ahead. So there's many other factors, but I think it's the person that can look at the opportunity for failure in the morning, deal with it, move on. And once you get really good at that, I think, I always make fun of people. Like, I'm always like, if you're a pretty woman or a pretty guy, you had it easy. Like, honestly, you may think you had it hard, but you had the first thing that, and this is true, right? There's data on this that attractive people get ahead. But like, when you're not attractive, or when you're you have to find other skills. You got to be funny. You got to work out. You got to do other things that are normal, and you're finding ways to be successful. And I don't know why I'm getting into this, but like, I think when you've had it easy in life, not all attractive people have it easy, you don't have the capacity to move ahead. That's why it's amazing to me when you see wealthy people like your clients. Like I would tell your clients, like if you have children, you got to create some resiliency for them, some hardness for them, something that they have to conquer and charge. It's the same thing in answering your question that identifying people that are successful. After a while, you start rolling this shit off your shoulders, and you don't hold on to anything. So someone quit. Oh, it's a really good employee. What did we do wrong? Let's analyze. Let's talk about it. I don't have that much turnover, but you'll have it. People want to live their dreams. Sometimes people are leaving, and you got to, and you got to deal with that. But it slides off your shoulders. Even if you owe taxes or you do, it doesn't really matter what it is. It's your ability. Some people say it's faith in God or whatever. I don't know. I mean, I believe too, but I think it's just your ability to shake it off, move on. Those are the people that are successful. That's why you see people that I won't mention on names for politics and won't get into politics. You can hate them all you want, but the idea that they can keep moving forward is the key. And those people are relentless. And by the way, they're not well liked by anybody. So you can go down the list of our president. You can go down the list of Kobe Bryant. You can go down the list of, they're not liked, because that's the other key of these people that I see. They don't care. So that doesn't mean they don't care for people. And in some respects, maybe they don't, but they care about their craft. They care about moving forward. They can roll off with all the shit that comes at them. And I just reread this book, and I'll tell you, Kobe Bryant tore his Achilles, and it could have been an ending career. He got on a plane that night in the middle of first of all, when he tore his Achilles, he went to the free throw line on a torn Achilles and sunk 2 free throws, walked off the court, abandoned his team, went to his coach, Tim Grover, in Minnesota, thousands of miles away, because he went that night and said, I'm having darkness. Like, I just pulled my Achilles and I don't know if I can do this anymore. And I need help. Like, and got back on the plane the next morning to meet his team. And the point is, he saw that he didn't lie to himself. He said, I'm dark and I need help. So those are the people that I see that are successful. And I don't know. I think I digressed a little bit, maybe.
No, that was good. And I don't know if it's a growth mindset or a resilient mindset or what name we would put on it, but I think you're right, because I can speak from experience, going from a firm where I was just handed work and handed a really nice paycheck, to, okay, things are going to go wrong. I have to figure things out that I've never had to figure out before. I think entrepreneurship is like the biggest personal development journey you could ever go on. And I don't believe that everyone is meant to be an entrepreneur, but I do believe that everyone should be on a personal development journey, because it will be very eye-opening. And that leads me to, when you were talking about the lies that we tell ourselves, I'm curious, do you kind of see like themes of common lies that we tell ourselves as lawyers that do hold us back? I'd be curious to hear what those are.
So this is a key lie that I see in people. So it's amazing. You go to these conferences, and I'm not judging these people. I think the reason that I feel this way is, like, I don't know what Jesus did his first 33 years of his life, but either God blessed him with his ability to understand the human condition, or maybe he just got right down in it, because his disciples were all like bad people. But I see things in people. So I think the biggest lie that people do tell themselves is, ready? That they really, really care for the people they work with. And that is okay, because it's okay if you don't. It's okay if you care about them based on performance only. It is okay, actually. But when you lie to yourself and tell you that you care, and you're operating on that, there's a hypocrisy that your people pick up on, and that's not cool. So that lie obstructs your ability to have people stay with you, have people fight for you even after they leave, because people can leave and still fight for you in those closed rooms where you're not hearing them. It's about showing that you care for them. So if you get over that lie and go, did I like that person, that lawyer, because they've won 6 trials last 2 months, 3 months, versus the person that has lost 4 trials in a row, or the person that has 50 reviews versus the person that has 3? So finding yourself and realizing, look, I got to like these people as people, which is separate than liking them as employees or team members, and understanding that there's a difference, and sometimes the merger of those two things are brilliant. But I won't like them any less if they're not performing. They may just not be right for my space and place. That is really leadership, and I think that is. There's a lot of other lies people tell themselves, and I can tell you, but the current one that I think is a big one, I really do, and here's how it plays out. People come on podcasts and go, we have got great culture, we got great this, and then they're calling me, or they're calling, hey, I just lost this person. I'm like, well, why? I don't know why. Well, didn't, you've gone to all this coaching, you've gone to all this thing, you've even given speeches on stages. What is it that you're not doing? And so I think that's a lie people tell themselves. I think the other lie that people tell themselves is that, and this is really true, that they are, and believe me, I'm more conservative when I say this, but I'm not always it takes a village, although it does. But I think the other lie is that you became successful primarily because of your own innate talents. And I think that there's just happens to be a lot of luck to it. And I think the sooner you could realize that, sure, it has a lot to do with you being relentless. Sure, it has a lot to do with your attitude. Sure, it has a lot to do with everything I just talked about before. But luck is involved. You don't just make your own luck. You can prepare and you can plan so that there's less chance of failure for sure, but there's still luck involved. And here's how that plays out. You open your firm, you left big law, you've got some great clients, but right down the street, right next door to you, someone opens up and they have as much talent, if not yours, and they have a larger budget than you do. And all of a sudden you're like losing clients to that person that's right next door. You didn't plan on them moving in. You had no idea that they were there. And so there is luck for bad stuff and for good stuff. And I think we just, you still have to deal with it, right? You still have to roll with it. Yeah. Successful people figure that out. But it's like the PI lawyer that gets a several $1 million case that falls in their lap and they haven't even the capacity or skill to handle it. If they're smart, they're going to co-counsel with someone else. But there's lawyers that never even get that case. They just don't. There is something as luck. You don't, I'm going to put it out in the universe. I'm going to get a $5-10 million case. That's possible that you can create that energy to come back to you. Sure. But there's also luck involved. Like I know people that have gotten a case like that and they're not putting any intention. They don't even think intentionally. In fact, they don't even know how to do work. They'll just get a case. And I don't judge them either. It's so funny. It's like, that's awesome. So there is luck. Yeah. And we have to really appreciate that.
Yeah. I love that. And I want to ask you before we start closing out, what led you to write a book? Because you obviously have a lot going on, a lot of things that you're working on. What made you say, okay, now I'm gonna take this and put it, in the written word?
Yeah, so we wrote this book and we didn't, like with everything else, like my podcast, we never really actively tried seeking to promote it. We did a little bit on social. We got some people leave reviews. It's, we never really pushed it out there. I realized that you really, like a friend of mine, Mogul, wrote Game Changing Attorney. They did it the right way with their production and everything. But our book, we wrote 2 books, Tiger Tactics 1 and 2. And I think Tiger Tactics 1 was better, as usually things are better the first time you write them. But the genesis of the book was just 4 or 5 of us getting together and trying to figure out the things that each of us would do. So we gave, like, let's say a chapter on vision, 5 of us wrote our own version. Chapter on systems, 5 of us wrote our own version. And what we figured is that different lawyers would pick up chapters and they may not like my chapter and think, well, that's stupid. He's just fly by the seat of his pants. I like that other one who's so analytical. And then there's someone that reacts emotionally to my story and not the other. So we wanted to give 5 different perspectives. And at least it's funny because those co-authors, we added a lot more authors to the book after, and we also included coaches. And maybe there was better stuff in that second book, but the first book was better received, I think, because it may have been more authentic. There was no trying to get business out of it or use it as a launch. Of course, we would use it to speak and stuff like that, but it
Sure.
was a really good book. It was just our stories, and I think it's an easy read. People say, and it was 5 different perspectives on 10 different topics, and I think written from 5 different people. So
Very cool.
one
I look
one
forward to
sells
reading it.
yeah,
Yeah.
one sells serial firms. Another one is a consultant now, not as a result of that book. Another one is a business coach and still runs their DUI law firm. There's some successful people that they ended up part of that journey, and it was pretty cool. And something that I think law firm owners, it's a good starting primer, I think, to a quick, easy read just to see different perspectives quickly. Are you
Very
thinking of
cool.
writing a book?
Very cool. One day, yeah, I would love to write a book. Not today, but in the future, for sure. It's definitely on the agenda. It's definitely on the agenda. Well, Bill, this has been incredible. I feel like I could talk to you for another 2 hours easily. Next time I'm in Orlando, we definitely have to get together. But I would love to know where everyone can find out more about you, about your law firm, about your coaching practice. Obviously, we'll put everything in the show notes, but where's the best place to get in touch with you?
Yeah, I'd say really, I know it's silly, but Instagram. So Bill is the
Yeah.
Lawman on Instagram. Is I just get my cell is 407-399-7999. I probably get maybe 300 texts a day now.
Whew.
So it's just I can't. So Instagram is better. I get
Yeah.
DM there, and
Yeah.
I'm on LinkedIn, and you can. It's easy to reach me if you go on social, put in Umansky the Lawman, you can find me. So pretty easy.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I really, really enjoyed our conversation. Thanks for coming on the show. And thank you to everyone for listening to Legal and Wealthy. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to Legal and Wealthy. If today's episode sparked something in you, take it one step further. Share it, leave a review, or come connect with me inside the Legal and Wealthy community. Remember, wealth isn't just about the numbers. It's about how you lead, how you live, and how you build beyond the billable. You already have what it takes to create real freedom and wealth. I'm just here to help you claim it.